Alright, so area practice. This is not the new material, this is something to help those of you who might have not done so well on that quiz on Friday and want to refresh your memory on how to find area of certain values. For triangles, for example, it is always important for a triangle, and you might want to write this down somewhere, it should already be in your notes, but area of a triangle is always going to be your base times your height divided by 2. That's always going to be area for triangles. Now, your base is going to be a flat line going side to side along the triangle. For this one, we could call this my base. It is a flat line going side to side throughout the length of the triangle. Those are dotted lines. They are not part of the triangle. This is imaginary lines trying to show you where the right angle is. The reason a right angle is important is a right angle is what's going to tell us what the real height of our triangle is. And the height is always going to be a line near a right triangle, a right angle, that is going straight up and straight down. So for this triangle, my base is 7, and my height is 5.4. Now, for this unit, everything we are doing is calculator active. And I'm not saying that to diminish your ability or like play down your ability to multiply. It's that in this unit, I'm not looking at your ability to multiply. I'm only looking at your ability to apply this formula and other formulas to shapes. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not too concerned about your ability to multiply yet. So for this, all we're going to do is we're going to multiply 7 times 5.4. 7 times 5.4. Now that's not my correct answer. That's close, but it's not quite right. We still have to divide by 2 because it is a triangle. So we take 37.8, divide by 2, and that gives me my real answer of 18.9, or 18/9. And we were dealing with centimeters, so it's 18.9 centimeters squared. The reason we put that little 2 in the corner is to indicate that we are finding area. Area being how many 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter squares would fit inside of that triangle. Next up, we have a rectangle. Rectangles and squares and parallelograms, any shape with only 4 sides, that all sides are parallel, you can use this formula. Area is base times height, with the base being a flat surface going from side to side, and the height being a straight surface that goes straight up and straight down. So for this rectangle, they gave us 3 numbers, but we only need 2. We just need a side-to-side number and an up and down number. So we're going to be doing 2.7 times 10.5. So that's 2.7 times 10.5, and that gives me my area of 28.35. And these were meters squared. For number 3, we use our base. Now, our base, we don't have a number there, but we can look at the other side of the rectangle and say, okay, this is a rectangle, so these 2 sides are exactly the same. So I know the base is 2 inches, and I know the height is 5 inches. 2 times 5 you can do without a calculator. That will be 10 inches squared. Number 4 is a little bit trickier because it gives you 4 numbers, but we know we can only use 2. We need a base, a line that is going perfectly straight from side to side. Well, that could be any one of those 3. So instead, we'll look for the height first, looking for our right triangle. Our right triangle is going to be formed right here with this imaginary dotted line. So if this number right here, that dotted line, if that's my height, that means this 12 must be my real base. And that means this 14 and this 11 are tricks. They're going at diagonals, and we cannot use a diagonal. So number 4, this is a triangle. We're going to do base times height and then divide by 2. So we will do 10.6 times 12, but then we have to divide by 2. And that gives me 63.6 kilometers squared. Alright? So next, for number 5, we have a square. We will do base times height. In this case, base and height are the same number. That's 5.4 times 5.4, and that gives me 29.16. And these are miles squared. Our parallelogram has a similar problem with number 4 above it, in that we only need 2 numbers, but it gave us 3. We look for the base. The base is going to be a straight line going side to side, not diagonal. And our height is going to be by a right triangle, and it's going to be going straight up and straight down. In this case, this 0.9 feet is going to be our height. That 1.2 feet is a diagonal, and we cannot use it. So we are just going to do 2.5 feet times 0.9 feet. That's going to give me 2.25 feet, or 2 1/4 feet. Alright, moving right along. My keyboard's in the way and it's making my paper do something funny. That'll be fine. So, number 7, we have base times height. Number 8, we have base times height. We'll do 2 at once. If you would like to work ahead, I would suggest pausing the video so that way you can do the rest of these problems and then play the video back and see how you did. But number 7, base times height. Number 8, base times height. We only need 2 values, not all of them. So the base for number 7 is 7.7 times 8.5. And that gives me 65.45 feet squared. Versus number 8, which is going to be 4 times 13.1. That gives me 52.4. And that's inches squared. For number 9, it's a little bit trickier because they turned the picture on its side. But fortunately, we have this magical power of being able to turn a piece of paper, or being able to turn your Chromebook screen. The base of this parallelogram is here, and the height is here, because we look for our right triangle. My base is 12.3 yards, and my height is 8.5 yards. So I do 12.3 times 8.5. And this is a parallelogram. I do not divide by 2. It gives me 104.55. For number 10, same thing with number 9. We have to turn our paper. We can see that there are 3 numbers, but we're only going to use 2 of them. Look for that right angle. We're going to be using this 5 meters and the 7.9 meters. We will not use the 7.2 meters because that is our diagonal. So for number 10, we set it up as 7.9 times 5. This is not a triangle. We will not divide by 2, so we will just have 39.5. For number 11, nearly finished. It gave us 3 numbers, but there are no trick numbers. It just listed a base twice. So my base is 13.2. My height is this dotted line. It is 19.3. Or excuse me, 9.3. So we're just going to do this multiplication. 13.2 times 9.3. And that gives you 122.76. And that's inches squared. Number 12 is a lot like number 9 and 10 in that you have to rotate your paper to find the real height, because we can see our right angle, which tells us that our height has to be connected to it. So we just spin our paper around until we eventually see the triangle the way it was meant to be seen, with our height being this dotted line, and with our base being this solid line. The 6.3, although in our original problem, it was the bottom of it, is not the real base. It just looks like it is because the triangle has been turned to try to fool us. But no, this triangle has a base of 7.1 kilometers and a height of 4.9 kilometers. So for number 12, we are going to do 7.1 times 4.9. And since this is a triangle, we will divide it by 2. And that gives us 17.395. And this is going to be kilometers squared. And that is it for today's practice activity. This was designed to go over material that would have been on the test from last Friday. We'll be retaking the test plus another test dealing with something that comes right after this video on Friday. So, there you have it. Moving on.